Hello, design lover. We are continuing on with our decorating series, and today it's all about how to style shelves like a designer. Shelves can be tricky, but there are a couple of really easy techniques that once you learn them, it makes styling beautiful shelves so much easier. So I'm gonna break it all down for you today. So before we get into the practical steps of styling shelves, I want you to keep this in mind. The way that you decorate and style your surfaces, the way that you group your accessories and choose your accessories in your home is really a reflection of your personality. It's how you inject who you are into your home and create your story in your spaces. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're choosing your accessories, when you're grouping your accessories. The way that you style your shelves needs to be a reflection of who you are and what story you want to tell in your home. So that being said, there are a couple of practical things we need to keep in mind when we're styling. The very first thing that you need to keep in mind is the three components of styling, okay? The first one is going to be your hero of the grouping or your hero of the shelves. And that means what specific item, decorative accessory or piece of art or whatever it is, draws your attention first, okay? So it could be because it has a larger scale. It could be because it has a really interesting patina or it's a unique oddity or accessory or something that you found, at a vintage store, or any of the above, all of the above. It's the thing that draws your eye in, and you want to choose that piece first. So let's just kind of go through this and think let's look at the way that I've styled these shelves and think, okay, what are the hero pieces? What are drawing the eye in immediately? This piece of art is because it's large. It's just because of the scale. Also, the color and composition is really great and it draws your eye in. It has a lot of detail. So that's definitely one of the hero pieces. There's another piece of art down here. That's a hero piece. And for me, this dried hydrangea little arrangement is also a hero piece. So think through what your hero is going to be for your shelves as you're choosing your accessories. The next thing you need to think about is your grounding pieces. And this is the pieces that either elevate other smaller items or just bring a foundational sense to the entire styling vignette. So for the grounding pieces of these shelves, we've got this wooden riser. It's really cool. It's got a unique texture. It's like a found piece of wood. So that riser, I've got some books that are grounding pieces. And then I've got a marble riser over here. Oh, and a wooden riser down below. So those are the pieces that either corral other smaller accessories or they elevate accessories. They just serve as like a foundational base. And then the last thing we want to make sure that we're including in our styling for our shelves or for surfaces is the supporting pieces. And to me, the supporting pieces are those unique accessories that have a lot of personality. So that could be the quartz obelisks that I have here, this little shell box that I picked up at a vintage store, just the smaller unique things that are like, wow, this is really interesting. That bowl, this handmade ceramic bowl, definitely a supporting piece. So that's really where we're bringing in a lot of personality and uniqueness into our vignettes. So we've got all three of those different categories covered. Now we need to make sure that we are including a mix of materials throughout our styling. If you're doing a tabletop surface, it's important. It's also equally as important when you're doing shelves. You really have to make sure you've got a mix of materials. So we always want to include some type of a natural. I love to include natural stone. It's always in my vignettes. I think it just makes a huge impact on the feeling and that like organic vibe that natural stone brings to styling. So I always include natural stone. That could be the quartz crystal. It could be a marble riser, anything like that incorporates that organic nature of stone. I always love to include metal in my styling and in my shelves. So I've got like a little accent on the picture frame, a brass box down here, even the metal easel at the very bottom that's holding the art. That brass easel just kind of brings in a little bit of polish and helps to make everything else pop. So always include some metal in your styling. Then you're definitely going to want to include some type of pottery, ceramic, something that has that textural quality and a really beautiful glaze, something unique. So I've got these pieces up here that have this really neat raku base. This, of course, is a pottery piece. I've got actually pottery and ceramic pieces sprinkled in throughout every shelf in this cabinet. Then I like to make sure that I've got some type of wood. It's really important to add wood into your vignettes and into your shelf styling. There's just a beautiful natural quality about wood. And what I love is that the tone of wood brings in a lot of depth. So of course I've got this wooden riser. I've got the little wooden shell catch-all or little box, and then another wooden riser at the bottom. And then the last thing that you must include is glass. Glass adds in that airiness to styling. So it is like the little lift that a vignette needs, and it's the lift that these shelves need. So I've got, although the quartz is not glass necessarily, it has that reflective quality and a lightness to it. So it actually in this composition serves as glass. And then I've got a glass bowl on the bottom, and it just brings that light, airy quality to styling. So you want to make sure that you're including the 3 different types of, categories within your shelves, but also a material mix of all the materials I just went over. Okay, so now we got that out of the way. Let's talk through actually putting the pieces together, because this is, I think, where people get stuck, and it's not hard. So when you're styling shelving, you need, especially when you've got multiple, like there's 4 shelves here, start with the shelf that is closest to eye level, okay? So that's gonna be this one for me. I'm kind of short, 5'4". So this is gonna be the shelf that I start with. And I know that my hero of kind of the vignette is this piece of art. So I'm gonna put the piece of art in. I've got some books that are my grounding pieces, and then the quartz crystal obelisk, and then this little bowl. And as you can see, the way that this shelf is styled, it almost mimics an upside down triangle or a V, okay? So that it's going this direction. So we've got an open space right here in the center, and that creates this visual look with our triangle going down. That's really important. I'll show you why in just a second. So you don't have to necessarily start with your V like this. Just set up how you want your first shelf to look, and only focus on it. Don't worry about the rest of it. Just start with one shelf, okay? Now, the beauty is that once you've set that up, you get to just repeat the rhythm in an opposite formation, okay? So I'm gonna go to this next top shelf. And as you can see, the triangle of this shelf is the opposite. So I've got a taller piece in the center, and then it goes down to the outside. And because visually what happens is when you're creating this rhythm on shelves, it just looks so satisfying. I guess it's like a very, very satisfying for your eye to see that rhythm, but the opposing rhythm of a triangle going down and a triangle going up. Okay. Then I would just go to the shelf below so I've got my shelf that's closest at eye level, and then I go down and I create another triangle. And this time, of course, it's the point of the triangle is in the center, because the shelf above, I've got the open in the center. So I created the vignette, there on that shelf, and then on the bottom shelf, it's the opposite. Triangle going down, my point's going down, I've got the open in the center. Now, these shelves are fairly small because this is a cabinet, but this works no matter what. This works on large shelves, on small shelves, on bookshelves, on shelves that are, built into your home. Creating this opposing rhythm with the triangle type styling works no matter what it is. It honestly even works like on a buffet or a credenza or a table, whatever. Just think through your triangles, set the first one, and then just create that rhythm and harmony as you move through your shelves. Now, one last thing I want to talk about as we're looking at shelf styling is material rhythm. So we've talked about what different mix of materials you need to use, but I also want to address how to create a rhythm in your material, because if I'm using, and it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly material, it could also be color. So say up here, I've started and I've got this really beautiful crackle glaze on these two pottery pieces. Well, if I didn't have that light color show up anywhere else in the shelves, it would feel disjointed, honestly. So I've got that color, it's light, it pops against the white oak of the cabinet. So I've mimicked something light over here, and as you can see, it's on the opposite side of the cabinet. And then down here on the third shelf, I've got this piece of travertine that brings a little bit of a lightness. And then on the bottom shelf, I've got the inside of the glass bowl has some white in it, so it brings a little bit of lightness. And I'm just creating rhythm with color. You can also create rhythm with a finish or a material. So up on the top, I've got this brass beading on the edge of the picture frame, on the interior edge. And then this shelf, I've got this gold gilt frame around the piece of art. So it's that same tone. And then third shelf, we've got this little brass catch-all. And then on the bottom shelf, we've got the brass art easel. So I've got that material repeating, or the color of gold repeating throughout all the shelves in different areas. That's really, really important, and something that I see not done very often. It's like we have a tendency to find something, like something, repeat it, and not have enough diversity in the material that we're using, and then also not enough repetition in the colors, the material, the shapes, those types of things. It makes a more dynamic display when you think through all of those aspects of styling. Now, one of the other last things I want to say about styling your shelves or styling your tables or whatever it is in your house, the more you style, the better you get. It's just like going and working out at the gym. Like the more you work out, the more muscle mass you're going to build, the more buff you're going to get, whatever. The more that you style, the more you work through your creative process and you practice, the better you're going to get, and the more you're going to enjoy it. So my homework for you is to style one shelf in your house this weekend or this coming week or whatever, and just have fun with it. Use all of the tricks and tips that I've told you about in the process. And first of all, it's going to be easier if you do, but I just want you to also let loose and have some fun. If you follow the design principles of, flow and using your material mix and having your rhythm and setting up your triangles, things are going to look good. Like they're going to visually look good. But I want you to think about including things that mean something to you and just having fun decorating your home. Like, you should enjoy this. I want you to enjoy this. Practice this week and come back and let me know how it went. And if you have any other questions about styling your shelves, let me know in the comments. I'm always here to help. Okay, now if you need some more styling tips on how to style your cocktail table and console tables and things like that, I want you to meet me in this next video, and I will see you there.